Hey, what's up? Jay here from First Line Medic. Today I'm talking to you about the March algorithm. Okay, you might have heard of it, but it's more of a military term. It's something that I was taught about for the military, but you may not have heard of it in civilian, policing, ambulance roles. But it's a really, really good algorithm to follow when you're dealing with trauma. Now, you've probably heard of the ABCs or the doctor ABCs, if you've done a first aid course, if you're a police officer, you're a paramedic, whatever. The ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation. Now that works really well for your standard kind of everyday illnesses, things like strokes, an unconscious person, anything like that, okay? Just your day-to-day life. If you come across a car accident, nothing's too bad, just someone's maybe unconscious in the car, okay? Simple, Dr. ABC or ABC works really well. Danger response, airway, breathing, circulation. But for trauma situations, okay, we're talking about stepping on IEDs, stabs, gunshot wounds, bombs, anything that involves trauma, mass bleeding, someone is really effed up. Okay, this is when you use the March algorithm. It's a military term. I believe it was by the British Army. I haven't seen anything otherwise. This is something that I was taught about, and it is really useful to use in a civilian role as well, but it works really well for trauma situations. So Dr. ABC or just ABC for your normal, everyday, unconscious, having a heart attack, doing whatever, but March algorithm for trauma instance. Okay, I'm gonna run through that with you right now. Just to note, you should be running through this in order, like ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation, should be doing it in that order. March, exactly the same run through, okay? So the first one is massive hemorrhage. Okay, now that means major bleeding, catastrophic bleeding, okay? Spewing out, femoral arteries going everywhere, someone is going to die, okay? And the reason why this is number one, unlike ABC where it's last circulation, if you're doing CPR, if someone stopped bleeding, but they're spewing out blood, okay, no matter how much CPR you're gonna do, you are not gonna bring them back to life if there is no blood in their body. Essentially, all you're trying to do with CPR is get that blood back around, oxygen into the heart, get that heart pumping blood back around. If there's no blood, you're screwed. So that is really important. That is what things are like. Tourniquets are for, chest seals, Israeli bandages, anything to stop the bleeding. Essentially, that is it. Catastrophic bleeding. Bleeding so much that they are going to die if you don't do something about it right there. I'm not talking about a graze. I'm not talking about where there's just a little bit of blood where they're complaining. There's blood everywhere. They are going to die, okay? Next up is airway. Are they breathing? How well are they breathing? Okay, that's when you use things like an MPA or an OPA. Really, really simple. You tilt their head back, get the airway open. We use MPAs, again, just through your nasal passage to open up the airway and let them breathe. Things like an OPA you can't use if they're conscious, you can only use if they're unconscious. And MPA you can use whether or not they're conscious or not. But you have to have a little bit of lube with that, or I've seen people use spit, saliva, water, horrible stuff. But hey, if that's gonna keep them alive, that's gonna keep them alive. Obviously, airway is really, really important. If they're not breathing, they're dead, okay? So that is the second priority there, is to make sure that they are breathing, they're breathing well, the airway isn't collapsing or isn't going to collapse. You wanna stabilize them, make sure they can breathe properly. Okay, next up is R. Very similar to airway, this is respiration. How well are they breathing? Do they have a collapsed lung? Do they have two collapsed lungs? Basically, you wanna make sure that they are getting the air that they are breathing in circulated around their body. Are they actually breathing? Do you need to do CPR? Are they having a cardiac arrest? What is going on? That is how well they are breathing. It's quite a simple one. Airway is their airway open? Is there something blocking it? Respiration, are they breathing? How well are they breathing? Do they have collapsed lungs? Hey, are they having a tension pneumothorax? Do I need to get out my decompression needle and do some emergency trauma care right there and then? Pretty simple. Okay, next up is C, circulation. Are they getting blood flow around their whole body? If you've applied a tourniquet, this is a really good tip. If you've applied a tourniquet, the simplest way to see whether or not it's worked properly is A, have they stopped bleeding? Is their blood still spewing out? If there is, it obviously hasn't worked. But a really good way is just to check the pulse beyond that limb. If I've blown up my right arm, you apply the tourniquet. If there's still an arm, horrible. If you've still got a pulse, it's not on tight enough. What do you do if it isn't on tight enough? You don't take it off, you don't unloosen it to reapply it, you don't do anything, okay? You get a second tourniquet, if you have one, get a second tourniquet, apply it above the first one and make sure that that one is tight enough. Never remove a tourniquet, okay? There's all this stuff about if you apply one when you shouldn't have, when it will do damage. No studies have found that, I think it's within about 3 hours, if you apply a tourniquet, that anyone's going to lose a limb, so you don't have to worry about unnecessarily applying a tourniquet and then finding it afterwards. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Because at the end of the day, would you rather have done that and then someone go, you didn't need to do that, then let someone bleed out because you were too worried about them losing a limb and instead they died? Okay, it's really that simple. But circulation, we'll get back onto that. Circulation, are they getting around? Are they bleeding? That doesn't mean massive hemorrhage, okay? We've already dealt with that. That means just smaller bleed. Anything that could be serious. Is blood getting around? You talk about car crashes a lot where the dashboard comes forward and they cut off all blood supply to the legs down. Now that's one of the big problems we have with paramedics and firefighters. If you release that too quickly, the blood's gonna flow, you're gonna be in serious trouble. Especially in those instances, hey, maybe they've lost their leg. As soon as you release that back, then you're gonna have a massive hemorrhage. It's really, really important you check out circulation. Okay, next up. I swear, every video we do, there is a helicopter in the background. Okay, so the last one, March H, is hypothermia. If you're somewhere like this where you're far away from any ambulances, any help at all, someone, if they're losing a lot of blood, or just in general, if they're in shock, if they're lying down, they've gone through trauma, they're going to be getting cold really fast. That is where you want to tackle hypothermia. Okay, maybe they fall into a river, done whatever. Hypothermia is really important because you might have done the best CPR to save their life. You might have put on the best tourniquet anyone's ever done, and you've cut off that blood supply. You've done everything you need to do, but they are really, really cold. And if you don't do anything to combat that, if you don't give them a survival blanket, you don't get them warmed up, not too fast though. If you don't do that, they're going to die from hypothermia. So you really need to deal with that. That's something where, again, it's important, but if you're just dealing with this on the streets, hey, you might be a paramedic dealing with this, you might be a person where there's an ambulance 2 minutes away. It's not going to be a massive, massive problem in everyday life. However, it is still important to know and be aware of and be able to deal with. Have a blanket in the back of your car, have a survival blanket. I've got loads of them, blankets, coats, I've got extra gloves, extra everything, just to make sure that people don't get cold. And that is really, really important. So the March algorithm overall is a really, really important thing to know for trauma care, for TCCC. It's really, really important to know. Make sure you know it off by heart. All of our kits now, let me show you on this, have on the front an insert, the March algorithm. Check it out there if you can. Okay, we'll also be sending out little packing slips inside every order. You'll be getting a little card that has the March algorithm and lays it out for you. So if you're ever in an incident and you need to open up your pack, you need to do whatever, there's your card on the front, along with the contents on the front of the pack. You open up the kit, there it is. You can quickly go through, okay, what do I need to do? Obviously don't spend too long getting out books and stuff, but it's really important that you know the March algorithm, and something I think a lot of people should know, civilians should know, everybody should know. Because Dr. ABC, or just ABC in general, is great for just everyday things. Someone falling down some stairs, or in just a small little fender bender, stuff like that. It's brilliant for. But for trauma, for things where people are going to bleed to death, where the airways closing, where they've been in horrific car accidents, they've stepped on IEDs, terrorist attacks, stabbings, shootings, that kind of thing. March is something that you really need to know and you really need to be prepared for, to follow up on. That's why you need things like kits, you need IFAKs, you need the stuff on you, and you need to be able to know how to use it and how to apply it properly. My name is Jay, this is First Line Medic. You can check out more over on our website. I have written an article all about this in more detail over on our website, firstlinemedic.com. It's in the description below. Check it out. You can see all of our kits there. We've got everything from pocket trauma kits to major vehicle kits that cost several $100s. Go and check it out, firstlinemedic.com. It's the link below. Please do go and follow us and subscribe on all of our social media channels. It's firstlinemedic.com, our website. Check it out. Thank you for watching. See you soon.